As the very first upper large electrified 7-seater SUV to the Australian market, the Kia EV9 is unlike anything else and will certainly hit the spot for some families. The EV9 is here to really shake up the traditional players in this segment and prompt their customers to think carefully about what they really want in their upper large premium SUVs. Of course, many potential customers are going to be wondering whether an EV will be cut out to do all of the jobs that families need vehicles like this to do. For example, running around the suburbs, driving kids to and from school, but also these vehicles are very typically used to go on long trips down south or up north, carrying heavy loads with a full load of people in them, sometimes even towing a trailer. Pricing starts at $109,700 for this rear-wheel drive Air model, all the way up to $143,000 drive away for the GT line all-wheel drive. Subjective as appearances are, it's pretty clear the EV9 has been willfully designed to stand out. One of the running themes in the design appears to have been to make round things angular, such as the geometric design of the wheels, the angular wheel arches, and the square shapes in the headlights. Step into the EV9 and you'll notice that its build and finish quality is approaching European premium car levels. Hard plastics are kept to a minimum and there's plenty of soft touch materials inside the car, including what Kia are calling synthetic leather seats. Let's face it, they're plastic. The front seats are heated and ventilated, and on the GT line model, the two outer seats in the second row also get heating and ventilation. The interior has also been well thought through, with easy access to the third row of seats, USB charging, and ventilation outlets for all three rows. The EV9's completely flat floor throughout the interior also makes it that much easier to move around. Overall, it's clear that Kia has put plenty of thought into the needs of growing families in designing the interior of the EV9. Another feature of the EV9 is this fingerprint recognition sensor, which can bring up all of your individual driver preferences. The placement of the vehicle on switch and gear selector is unusual below the indicator stalk, but it's something that you get used to very quickly. Behind the wheel of the EV9, you're faced with a very nicely contoured steering wheel, good spots for your thumbs. The big obvious feature is this big wide infotainment screen, which is divided into three separate sections, being your driving data, the ventilation system, and the infotainment. It's all really easy to operate. As you can see, it does let you scroll through. It's quite a fast operating system, and that deserves a big accolade in terms of Kia's R&D in getting this sort of stuff right. With the huge 99.8 kilowatt hour battery in the Earth and the GT line variants, it's handy that the EV9 can be charged at a fast charger at 800 volts, which can add about 232 kilometres of battery range in about 15 minutes, which will get you about a week's driving around the suburbs of Perth. This kind of charging capability does make the EV9 a bit more practical as a long distance tourer. On the top of the range GT line, you get digital mirrors, which means cameras outside the vehicle transmit images to screens inside the vehicle. But really, we prefer conventional mirrors, which have much better clarity and image resolution compared to the screens. There are upsides to digital external mirrors, such as aerodynamics, but really, that's not quite as relevant for everyday urban driving. And of course, with the internal digital rear view mirror, it can see around any obstructions that might be in the cabin because the camera is mounted at the top of the vehicle at the back. The lack of any sort of a spare tyre in the EV9 doesn't really help its prospects as a vehicle for long distance remote area travel. A tyre inflation kit is all you get. What else makes a Kia EV9 practical? Well, it does come with vehicle to load capability, which means you can plug in an e-bike charger, a laptop charger, or a vacuum cleaner. So what's the EV9 like to drive? It has been through a local suspension tune, which Kia does do with most of its new models that come to the Australian market. It doesn't handle like a go-kart, but it handles pretty well for a car of this size and this weight. It does the job well. It gives you more space up front in the trunk, thanks to the lack of an electric motor in the front of the car. And its range is excellent, up around 450 kilometres. Visibility out of the EV9 is excellent. The pillars aren't too thick, they're pretty easy to see around, and the windows are nice and big too, so it certainly gives you a pretty good view. You can also see the corners of the vehicle easily as well, which helps you getting in and out of tight spaces. The turning circle is pretty good for a car of this size, especially when you bear in mind this is running some pretty big and wide tyres, so that's certainly a credit to the designers of this car. That certainly make it quite reasonable in terms of manoeuvring around tighter spots of the suburbs, which is where most of these cars are going to be doing their work. The driver assist features in the EV9 and other late model Hyundai and Kia products can be distracting for some drivers, so make sure that you check out that technology before you commit to buying one. The Kia EV9 has a 5-star ANCAP safety rating, which was achieved against the current protocols introduced in 2023. A good rating overall, but ANCAP did note that the EV9's sensing tech for adults crossing a side road was only marginally effective. As with other products from Hyundai and Kia, some of the driver assist features were distracting to the point where you might be inclined to turn them off. This in itself was an involved process, which can take the driver's eyes off the road. So what do we like about the Kia EV9? Well, you can't ignore its looks, and its performance and refinement is right up there. And finally, its pricing is not outrageous against the competition. What didn't we like about the Kia EV9? Well, for long distance touring, and especially when carrying heavy loads, it's those internal combustion upper large SUVs that probably still have this one beat. Secondly, if you want to get the GT line, you're going to have to get those digital mirrors, which for some drivers, they'll be a challenge to use. And thirdly, those annoying driver assist features, which for some drivers will be too much. So what's our verdict? Well, if you're looking for a zero tailpipe emissions alternative in the upper large premium SUV segment, or a people mover, the Kia EV9 is a great option. Against some of that competition in the premium segment, it'll probably be quieter, it'll probably go better, and it'll have better infotainment tech on board. And if you're doing long trips on a regular basis, it'll be a supremely comfortable highway cruiser. But charging, towing, and no spare tyre are all issues you're going to need to think very hard about.